Hello, welcome to, is this the first 10 at 10 of the year? I think it is, right? Or was the one
Oh,
previous?
yeah, it is. Yeah, no,
It is?
this
Oh,
is yeah, the
well,
first
Happy
one.
New Year, everyone. I'm Spencer Koppel. I'm a digital specialist here at Key Media Solutions.
And I'm Madison. I am a digital strategist, and with both of our roles, we also just love to talk about social media and also both
Mhm.
work in the social media space a little bit. So we are going to jump into 20. I can't even remember what we named today. I think it's just trends for 2026.
What's
We've got
hot
a
in
mix.
social media? I
Hot
think
and
that's what
social
it was.
media. That's right. What's hot and popping? So I've got some trends that are kind of on the forefront right now for 2026, and Spencer's got some news for you.
Mhm.
So if you are feeling it, drop a comment on what you think is going to be the hottest trend in 2026. I'm just kind of curious what other people are seeing or what other people are thinking this year as well. But I will let you know what we are thinking.
Yeah.
So the biggest one right now, this was something that I kind of Spencer and I kind of came up with a little bit after doing a lot of research. If you look into a lot of trends on social media in 2026 right now, a lot of social media sites will say AI generated, AI generated, AI generated. I do think that I caution with that with a grain of salt. I think AI generation is almost like absolutely critical when you're making mass social media
Mhm.
calendars. But our biggest recommendation is to keep a link about or like a thread of authenticity in that. If you click into comment sections and you really listen to the conversation people are having, people are really kind of combing through content with a fine tooth AI proof comb. Even the other day, I saw a post that the first comment, the most liked one was not the chat GPT comment. Which honestly, almost all captions, I'm sure at this point, how many of us really read them often, anyways?
Mhm.
Um, a lot of them are AI generated, and I don't caution away from that. Just about making sure you really have a human element sort of before you're posting. Make sure you're looking at that post and providing some personality and for your brand and business in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and sort of in that same vein, people are really looking for more like resonance and community over like mass following and virality this year. People are still going to have viral posts, but I think for businesses and brands, the focus is going to be a lot more on just finding your loyalists, finding people who want to comment and have conversations online versus expecting every post to be really viral or engaged with. But yeah, with that, some other ways that you can increase engagement that I have been really enjoying watching happen is serialized content. TikTok kind of took the forefront of that with the play. You can use playlists. So if you have a
Mhm.
theme of, or you're talking about the same thing for a few videos, you can make a playlist, which just kind of gets people hooked on your series of videos. You can also link back to past videos, use comments from past videos in each video as you're going, just to kind of keep people engaged and create conversation about multiple posts. And then it also you can create hype for lists or releases. If you're posting 4 or 5 days about the same thing, you're just getting more eyes on that, and you're kind of creating a little generating a little bit more buzz. So be on the lookout for serialized content.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then can you think of any other way that other platforms are doing serialized content?
I know YouTube, they've had it before with like playlists and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So it's kind of existed before. Kind of a trend that I'm starting to see with the serialized content is I don't know if it's like bot farms, but it's like movie clips. So it'd be part one, part two, part
Oh yeah.
whatever. Those are so prevalent nowadays. And I wonder if maybe we'll start to see some transition of actual content creators doing like kind of what you're saying with serialized, where instead of it being well, here's a video of this topic, here's a similar video of the topic. Instead, it will be, here's a snippet of this video, here's a snippet of this video, that kind of stuff. I wonder if we'll start seeing some of those trends.
Yeah,
Depends
it's
on
kind of interesting. I think people will go to seek out parts if they're engaged in it. Like they'll go find
Mhm.
it, they'll go back to your page and find it. So you don't even have to make it easy for them with the playlist. That's just kind of, I think, kind of a newer thing coming into short form content, anyways, at
Yeah,
least.
yeah. And I think it really depends on the platform too. Total time to it's like for let's say an influencer. I believe on TikTok it's a minute, so the video has to be 1 minute long. That's why a lot of the times you'll see
Mhm.
videos will be a minute and 1 second or whatever. You're like, wow, there's a lot of weird empty space here. Um, I think that might be another trend that we'll start probably seeing is instead of it being long form content of total like 3 minute long videos, it'll be sectioned out even more. But we'll kind of see what the platforms do. But that's kind of my hunch.
Yeah, and we'll kind of see what people's buy-in for that too. I think it kind of comes down really to specific, like what they're trying to engage in, if it's that more long term or long form or short
Exactly.
form. We've kind of seen that change a lot on Reels and TikTok, going from like people really wanted 2 minutes, and now people really want like 30 seconds. You know, it kind of
Exactly.
depends. Yeah. But with that, I will say do not shy away from paid strategies. I'm sure that one sounds obvious coming from like a paid, agency. But truly, even if you're putting like 25 to $100 a month in just boosting one of your most popular posts from that month, you can really create a lot of success for yourself that way, either in getting clicks on your website or just getting more following, more eyes on your page. I will say that's one thing that Meta's great at is finding your audience and keeping them engaged. Sometimes I'm like, how can they be if you've ever scrolled through your feed lately? But they are pretty good at getting you in front of your audience and getting you either more likes on your post, more engagement on your page. You can even set up, like a link campaign. So don't shy away from that. I would challenge anyone that's managing a social media to try one boosted post this month with an appropriate budget and just see what you can do. Expand your audience, try retargeting, etc.
Yeah, mostly if the content's there. If your content's looking good, quality's good, and everything like that, all you're missing is the actual people on your post. That's definitely a spot where that paid or just like a boosted
Mhm.
post might help kind of bridge that gap a little bit.
Totally, yeah, if you're posting 4 or 5 times a week, definitely at least get one of those boosted.
Yeah.
And then I will make this brief because I know we're taking some time.
Oh, you're good.
Spencer can talk on this one too because he's really working on this. But we are kind of really geared up to talk about smart search this year, which is the combination of SEO and paid search together. That's really also bleeding into social media. I think a lot of people have always used social media as a search engine, but what we're really seeing a rise in is AI responses, AI summaries that are now happening in social media, and
Mhm.
your posts and your page, the information on there is what's informing those searches. So if you were to say, digital marketing firm in Sioux Falls or in the Midwest, that us having that information on our page more than once is what's gonna let us pop up in those social searches. So be
Yeah.
thinking of those things, and that's kind of all I have for you. I'm curious to hear what other people think as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, don't forget if you guys have any comments or anything like that, feel free to leave them in chat, and we'll try to get to them when we can. And kind of leaning in a little bit to what Madison was saying for 2026. And this isn't quite news. This is more just kind of trends that I'm seeing. But AI obviously is a huge thing, whether that be actual platforms itself, whether that be algorithms on social media itself, or potential emerging tech from there. AI is kind of in a position to be more of a support tool, kind of like Madison was referring to earlier, where if content's a little bit too AI heavy, people will start to notice. So kind of using AI to kind of pivot into more of a support tool rather than the content itself. So using it instead of it replacing something, kind of just still keeping that human element and still having human touches to it, but keeping the content kind of fresh. Because in the end of the day, it is social media, and when people are logging into social media and they see stuff that's obviously not social, that's when they might start getting a little bit of fatigue with that kind of stuff. And that's another thing is maybe some AI fatigue potentially in 2026, where people, if they're seeing too much content or captions that are AI heavy too much, they might start relying a little bit more on content that's more human related, more actual creative kind of things. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing for 2026. It'll be interesting to kind of see how that continues on. But yeah, going on to news. So these are both for Meta, one specifically for Instagram. So Instagram is going to start limiting hashtag use. Previously, I
Mhm.
think it was about 30 hashtags you could use per post. They're going to start limiting that to 5 per post or reel. Um, this is basically to push. So instead of content, so like instead of your caption having to be a super long paragraph of hashtags and whatnot, they're kind of transitioning that to being more AI driven. So previously, how hashtags worked is you could put hashtag digital marketing or whatever you wanted to, something like that, and it would kind of help steer your content a little bit. So if a user was looking up something related to digital marketing, your post or your account might show up. They're kind of pivoting away from those hashtags, and instead of having the AI kind of provide it itself. So using context clues of what's actually in your content, what's in your captions, stuff like that. So instead of having to rely completely on hashtags, you're able to kind of use AI instead, or the algorithm will use AI instead.
That's so interesting how we were just talking about smart search and social search, and that really is kind of on that same vein.
Mhm.
Whereas I also heard that they're really like able to promote something that's using the same hashtag over and over again. And the same that the new search algorithm, it sounds like it's kind of more about what kind of content, how informative it is versus just using the same hashtags all the time.
Yeah, no, and that
Yeah.
definitely was a thing before too, and it was so up in the air. Really, Instagram didn't say specifically like, "Oh, hey, if you keep spamming this hashtag, you won't get as much engagement." It was definitely something that would happen. They just didn't tell you, and those kind of
Mhm.
things. I think limiting it makes sense, mostly if they have the algorithm for it, anyways. Kind of helps with not having to worry about having a huge wall of text, and plus, just having, yeah, it was like 30 plus hashtags. Is it just didn't look good in captions. You could try to
Yeah.
tuck it away. I know everyone would put like little dashes and a whole bunch of, space, or a whole bunch of, yeah, paragraph spaces basically to try to hide them. But, if we don't have to use them, then there's no reason to. Okay, last point. So Meta is considering charging business pages to post links. So this is kind of a branch of what they've currently already offer. So I think it's
Oh, that's
15 to $200 depending on, I believe it's $200 depending on your plan per month. So what that offers you right now is the ability to have a verified page. You can get featured easier, stuff like that. They're potentially looking at into implementing the ability to, so currently you can kind of put links on Facebook but not on Instagram. They're looking into potentially having that be a charged product. So instead of it just being organic within the platform, it's something you have to pay. At minimum, I think it's $15 a month, and that's for 2 links per month. Yeah, and then increasing as you pay basically. And so this is just something interesting that they're doing. We'll see. I think it's kind of a rumor right now. They've kind of talked about it, but I don't think there's anything quite set in stone. It's basically just to kind of help move their subscriptions, because currently the offerings are just verification and kind of helping with getting your page a little bit more organic looking posts and whatnot. It's kind of just to help drive more people to subscribe to the paid premium version of Meta, basically. But yeah, that's all I have for news. Honestly, there was nothing too crazy. We've kind of been keeping an eye on TikTok. There really hasn't been anything too crazy yet from what I've seen about, if it's shutting down, if it's being transferred. Um, Nothing quite new yet for that. So we'll keep our ears peeled and our eyes. We'll keep an eye out and see if there's anything new with that though.
yeah. Well, sweet Spencer, thank you those are pretty major meta news points you brought up there. So
It'll be
thank you.
interesting.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for joining and Happy New Year. We hope you all have a wonderful and amazing 2026.